Dogumentary TV, producing the best breed documentaries on YouTube.
Hi, I'm Marty Stewart.
Hi, I'm Tricia Tomono.
I've had corgis since I was about 6 years old. My first corgi was a Cardigan that we found on the Indian reservation, and I've been a fan ever since.
My boyfriend and I had decided back about 2003 we wanted to get a dog, and we had a hard time deciding what breed we wanted because he preferred little dogs, I preferred big dogs, so we kind of decided to meet in the middle and get a big dog with no legs, kind of low to the ground. So we chose corgis.
Corgis were bred to herd cattle. That's why they have the short legs, so when the cow kicks, they tuck and roll. And they have a tenacious attitude. They're like a German Shepherd on short legs, because that's what you need in order to move a cow.
The history of breeds began in Wales, and originally farmers wanted to have an all-around herding dog with something small that was in the house that wouldn't eat them out of house and home, but something that would still be able to move cattle. And originally, Cardigans were drovers. They were actually originally sent out in front of the farmer's herd to clear the way, and clearing out possibly the neighbor's cattle off of the property for the farmer to then move his cattle in. But later on, they turned into driving, so they would actually be behind the cattle, which is why they want to work so close, is to keep this cattle moving forward.
The corgi herds much closer to the sheep than a Border Collie or an Australian Shepherd would. Those breeds were bred to kick out in a distance and work from a distance. The corgi move in very close to the cattle in order to try and intimidate them. They apply that technique to the sheep. So a lot of the training we do is to teach a corgi to go against his natural instinct and kick out and work sheep from a distance where the sheep are more comfortable to have the dog. The corgi compared to a cattle dog compete and herd very similar. They were both bred to herd cattle. However, the cattle dog is bred to go to the head of the cow and grip it on the nose and hold it on the nose. A corgi was not bred to do that, so that's about the only difference between the two. The corgi and the cattle dog both, however, work very close to their livestock.
Cardigans, we actually come down from the Teckle breeds, are related to the Teckle breeds, which is where the Dachshund and the Basset Hounds are related, which is kind of why we do have a little bit of a bend in the front. They are dwarf dog. Corgi does mean dwarf dog in Welsh. Temperament for a Cardigan, I would definitely have to say a little aloof on occasion. They take a little bit to warm up to a stranger. They're very intelligent, very smart, and willing to do anything that you ask of them. The average height for a Cardigan Welsh Corgi is 10.5 to 12.5 inches at the withers or the shoulder. Weight, males are going to run a little bit heavier, usually per our breed standard. They run about 34 to 38 pounds, with females running about 34 to 30. The life expectancy, I want to say usually they average about 14 years. I do know Cardigans that have lived to about 17. They're a hardy little breed that's willing to, do what you ask.
The Cardigan comes in a lot of different colors. Blue merle, they come in brindle, they come in sable, red and white, and black with brindle points. The Cardigan is a different breed from the Pembroke. It has a tail and always keeps the tail. On the Pembroke, they dock the tail. Pembroke came from an area in Wales called Pembroke. It has a more fox-like appearance than the Cardigan. It is a smaller, slighter dog than the Cardigan, and it has a higher anxiety level. It can be more active, the Pembroke is a more active dog, gets more involved in meeting people, greeting others.
And the Pembroke come down from the Spits. They're a little bit different, a little more, I would almost say higher strung.
They are high strung.
And the Cardigan is actually, per our breed standard, we do have a little bit of larger ear, a little more rounded ear. The Pembroke has a pointier, foxy face. The Cardigan does have a full fox tail, big bush tail, and we usually always do have a tail. The Cardigan is a little bit bigger boned, so we do weigh a little bit more, and we are a little bit longer than the Pembroke. The Cardigans had originally developed in Cardiganshire of Wales. My understanding is that area was a little more hilly, rocky, so they wanted a little bit of a heavier dog to be able to handle the terrain, was a little bit more rough. I mean, the Pembroke's a little bit more slight, but from my understanding, that area was a little more of a flat land, and they didn't need to have a heavier dog with a bigger foot to handle the terrain. Was a little bit different. But originally, at one point, the American Kennel Club, when they first acknowledged Corgis, did have them grouped together in the same group. They considered the Pembroke and the Cardigan a Corgi, and they were both shown together in confirmation, and then decided, once they kind of really researched our breed background, that they came from two different areas of Wales, and they were two different types of Corgis, so they did decide to split us. And I want to say that was in the 1930s when they decided to split them into separate Cardigan Welsh Corgis and Pembroke Welsh Corgis. We do herd the same. It's mainly the big difference between a Cardigan and a Pembroke was the two different areas they came from, which is why they did kind of split and kind of breed a little bit differently.
But both are barkers, with the Cardigan probably being a bigger barker than the Pembroke.
They are very willing to tell you all about that they don't like something, or very good watchdogs, because they will let you know when there's something that does not belong on the property that shows up, or if they hear something. So they make very good guard dogs as well.
Yeah, they were bred to be watchdogs at night. That's why they have the big ear, so they can hear a lot of noise. And they are a very vocal dog. They will talk just to hear themselves talk. They actually need quite a bit of training for socialization. Because they are more aloof breed, they tend to be suspicious and can be more protective of their owner. So you must start socializing them quite young and working with them and getting them familiar with new places, new people, and new things. And that's a lifelong commitment, that they continue to have that exposure. The Cardigan Corgi is a herding dog, therefore it needs a job, and you need to provide it a job, and if you do not, it will provide its own job. And it could be running the fence, it could be barking at everything, it could be digging holes in your yard. You must train that dog in order for him to be fulfilled.
They are a very easy breed to train, though. They are willing to please. So, but it's one of those things when you are training, you definitely have to do different things, change it up. You can't drill the same thing over and over again. They do get very bored with that. But I mean, they are willing to please, so they're easy to train. But you need to keep it fresh and do something different every time you take them out to do something with them. I would call a Corgi a wash and wear dog. They're easy. They do have the double coat, so we do shed a lot. And I do mean you could probably build another Corgi or another Cardigan in probably about, a month?
Or a week, actually. They shed 24/7 every day of the year. If you do not like dog hair, do not get a Corgi.
The first dog that we worked today was Todd. He's a Cardigan Welsh Corgi. He is a black brindle in coloring. He just turned 10 in October. We started herding, really herding training when he was about 3. He is a retired show dog, so he did do conformation. Herding has been his number one thing. So we went back into herding training as soon as we finished conformation. We didn't really start serious herding training until he was about 5, and that's definitely one thing with him. I've let him get away with some bad manners, but I also learned how to herd and train with him. He was my first herding dog, so we have done lots of he likes to be real in close and tight with the sheep. He likes to be right and push and drive. He really thinks and likes to move fast, which in herding is not always the best thing, especially when your sheep have legs 3 times longer than yours to try to move them fast and be in very tight. But he absolutely loves it. I could work him all day.
The second dog that we worked was Sonic. He is my 6-year-old sable Cardigan Corgi. He is working at the intermediate level of herding, in which he learns to drive the sheep away from me. And the Corgi likes to bring the sheep to the human, so to teach them to move them away is a difficult step. His strengths are that he does kick out wider on his outdrive than a lot of Corgis, but he does like to argue with you, and so he will stop and bark and argue with you during a competition. So the third dog we worked was Dragoon, my 3-year-old Cardigan Corgi. He is very small for the breed. He only weighs around 22 pounds for a male. That's quite small. But he has the tenaciousness of a German Shepherd, and he works his sheep with the fury of the German Shepherd. He goes in, he drives them quite nicely. He does have a great outdrive. He will kick way out, but he has his own opinion, and he works them his way, and he does not like to stop and hold his weight right now. So we are working on it.
And then the fourth dog we saw today was Parker. He is actually related to Todd. It's Todd's sister's son, so they are related. Parker is 5 years old, and he's definitely a different dog to work than Todd. Parker likes to listen. He'll stop. He will actually obey a little bit better. He's slower. He actually will walk, and he's thinking a little bit more about what I'm asking, a little bit more wanting to please me instead of I know better than you. I can get this job done without you. He's just entered into the started level, the basic beginning level for herding trialing. He's actually done quite well. I'm very proud of him. The one thing I do like about him, he's a little bit softer. So if I raise my voice to let him know I mean business, I need you to do something to think, he does listen a little bit better. But he also is he's soft enough where the sheep aren't that intimidated by him on occasion. So he can get in nice and close, and it doesn't upset the sheep, which is an advantage on occasion, and sometimes it's a disadvantage. But he's learning to do a lot of different things, and I'm pretty proud of the dog because he's trying to learn to work in a smaller pen.
In conclusion, you're either really a Corgi fan or you're not. If you are a fan of the Corgi breed, you have to be conscious that they will defy you many times, and while other breeds may lead you to success in your sport, the Corgi is going to challenge you, and there's going to be a lot of failures along the way, and you need to learn to smile with them and move on, because that's the nature of the Corgi.
That is very true. I would have to say they're very willing to please, but they also, if you laugh at them once, they remember that, and they'll keep doing the same thing over again. Yeah. So you definitely have to remember to have patience, a sense of humor with this breed, because they want to work. They are willing to work. They have great instinct to do it. You just definitely have to have patience and, lots of time to spend with them.
And realize they want to do it their way.